where do you draw the line for economic purposes and for safety? So, from the engineering standpoint, in the US, we typically design everything on 100-year events so that at the very least, everyone is safe for things that are at that level generally. Now, that doesn't mean it's true for everything. Certain things are designed for 50-year events that are less critical. Certain things are designed to 10-year, which means that there's a 10% chance any given year you can have that happen. And then we do have critical infrastructure, which is typically designed to 500-year in Texas as well. So what that means, a critical infrastructure would be hospitals or things that are considered critical to maintain. Safety. So what that means is that in this case where you had a 1,000-year storm, even if every precaution was made, it doesn't necessarily mean that any of this could have been prevented based on design regulations. Now, this is a whole different question, and this is not to put blame on anybody, but should we be designing for more than this in cases like this where flash floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, things that may have very high probability of loss of life? And it is because you saw they've been getting rain events for years and they've never had this issue, but they had a 1,000-year storm and suddenly they had 26 feet of water. There's a basic economic cost to doing these things, and there's a viability cost as well. So if you would like to be safe from a 1,000-year storm, you could say, well, just build your home 300 feet away from the river, and then you're safe from a 1,000-year storm. But then let's say you build your home at that line, and then the next year it rains and you have a 2,000-year storm. Your home will get swept away because you build it at 300 feet instead of 400 feet. Some type of event can always happen that exceeds the level of safety that you're designing for. And so ultimately it becomes anything that you design on this planet ultimately has a risk of something happening to it. But where do you draw the line for economic purposes and for safety? Safety, do you basically remove half the US from being built on, to stay really, really safe? But again, it's all about economics versus use versus safety. All that has to be weighed on what are the probability of something like this happening and how catastrophic can that be.